to In Conversation with Aspire Solutions. So today I'm lucky enough to have my business partner, Mike Steyn. Thank you for joining us and In Conversation.
Yet again, and it's nice to be here. Look forward to it.
So Mike, it's about that time, eh? You and I need to have this conversation.
Yep, indeed.
So what do you think of our new setup?
As in the new office?
No, as in the new podcast. I mean,
the
before,
new podcast.
we've always tried to do it quite, or one-liner, and now we're doing it all in 3D.
It's quite a long way from the normal selfies we used to take and the phones we used to use to do this.
100%. It all speaks to evolution. It's technology.
It's very professional.
100%.
Okay.
So I think, Mike, what I've missed out on, and again, congratulations to Aspire. I know we both take it very well. Africa Tech Week, runner-up award that you received. Tell us about it.
Okay, so while you were sitting on the beaches of Turkey and the rest of us were here, no, it was really good to be able to attend Africa Tech Week. And I think it's really good that we were nominated, both as Aspire Solutions and myself. And I really was proud to represent Aspire Solutions at the awards evening and to get the runner-up award for Aspire Solutions on that AI category. It's always, we're busy with it on a day-to-day basis. We don't take the time to pat ourselves on the back, so it's actually really nice when it comes from somewhere else. And I think that's been great.
Remind me which project it was that was highlighted or showcased within the AI space?
Yeah, so the key project was a project that we did for the City of Cape Town. They need lots of data, lots of information around transport, commuters, where they're coming to, where they're going to, what kind of vehicles are going from A to B and C. And there's been lots of traditional methods in collecting that data over the years. Some of it clipboard related, some of it people standing and counting stuff. And with the advent of big data and the use of AI type technologies, we did a whole study for them on the replacement of those traditional methods with more sophisticated methods. And key to that was two things. One is using AI type technologies such as facial recognition, which is a very old AI type technology, but in the context of counting people, origin, destination, where is somebody getting on, where they're getting off. It's almost like a holy grail in the transport space to know how people are moving, where they're going from, where they're going to. So and traditionally that would have somebody sitting counting people. We try to see, can you put a camera in a vehicle, in a public transport vehicle? Can we get that information out using facial recognition? And we had very good results out of that. The other one that was very exciting was looking at putting a camera on the side of the road and counting vehicles, but not just counting vehicles of a certain type.
Okay.
And the reason why that one was more exciting is that in the context of South Africa, that's a minibus taxi.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now, minibus taxis are not unique to just South Africa, but they certainly don't be found in Europe and wherever the case is. So that was a case of having to get the AI to understand what a minibus taxi is.
So like facial recognition was vehicle recognition within the space of a motor vehicle being a minibus taxi.
And facial recognition is generic, whether it's in London or in New York or South Africa, it's the same. But in the context of our vehicles, the minibus taxis are unique. So that was using AI to identify a minibus a taxi off imagery, count it, see which direction it's going in, and therefore use it to generate data. And then the last one, which we also looked at, was using also a very interesting space, although in the context of the transport space, whether it is how you use it is the exciting bit.
Yeah.
But at least exploring the opportunity for it. So another thing within the transport space is people using questionnaires. So I stop you as a commuter and I ask you, are you happy with the transport? Where are you trying to go to? What are your beef with the transport? And generally, that's quite a structured, slightly rigid approach to collecting information.
Yes, because they're looking for trends and
they're looking for
else.
trends and stuff. But yourself, it's not great to answer questionnaires.
Sure.
And if somebody approaches you, you start getting, what is it? So one of the opportunities there that we looked at was using the AI type technologies around voice sentiment analysis, and that's looking and saying, yes, fine, you can stop me with a clipboard and you can write down all my answers in very structured questions. Or you can ask me, how do you feel about transport? Start a conversation. And then with your permission, record that conversation and then not go and sit and listen to it as a human, going through every, okay, you said you're unsafe here, or you don't like this, or that's not efficient, is you literally take that information as it is recorded, throw it into AI engines, which first do text to speech to text.
Yes.
And we were amazed with the quality of those kind of technologies, even around the South African accents, etc. And then the key to that is then the AI engines then take that huge amount of voice and they start analyzing it on sentiment, which is not just, saying, is it good or bad?
Yeah.
It actually starts recognizing what it is you're talking about. So to give you an example, even through not knowing anything about South African transport, the model will start saying, okay, I hear the word Mowbray taxi rank over and over again. And from the language that's coming out, I recognize that's actually a noun, it's a place, it's a thing, and the AI engines determine that. And then once they've determined that Mowbray is a thing, then they start putting the sentiment around that thing.
Yes. No, but I think what the thread that's coming through is, we can speak about AI.
Yeah.
It is artificial intelligence that we are focusing on. And it brings me back to, call it the evolution of Aspire. 18 years ago, if someone were to have approached you and said, listen, you want to get into tech because your background is from an engineer within engineering. You want to get into tech. Let's work on something with regards to artificial intelligence. To me, 18 years ago, it would have said, sorry, man, but, I don't want to go into the robotics side of NASA. So if you look back, say 18 or even 15 years ago, what are your thoughts? What advice would you actually be giving yourself?
I don't even have to look back 15 years. I can look back a year, 2 years ago.
True.
Because the thing is, even if you're in tech, even if you've been in tech for a long time, these emergent technologies, firstly, there's a lot of buzz around them.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about AI. Everyone's talking about this. Do we even understand it? Do we know what it is? And even if once we know what it is, do we know how to implement it in a manner that has value to our clients, the people behind our clients, which in our case happens to be the citizens of Cape Town?
Yes.
Why are you implementing these things? What are you trying to get out of it? And it is obviously horses for courses. But we live in an industry that's absolutely full of buzzwords.
No, for sure.
And the word AI is thrown around a lot. The word machine learning, big data. We as practitioners within Aspire Solutions have, in my mind, and I think in your mind too, the obligation to ensure that these technologies are not just used because they seem to be cool.
No,
that there's a proper outcome, and that's what I liked about that project. Is there was a real outcome, and I got excited about it because I could see. You're sitting on this wealth of opportunity. If you take citizens' voices, again, with their permission, you're not recording them, when they're not, and you take what they're trying to tell you and you use those technologies to get out actual answers. You're sitting on very powerful stuff.
I mean, you refer to it within the transport space because that was where we utilized it. But if we think about, where it impacts people and in the broader sense of where we could utilize it, the census survey that went out, if that was utilized in that manner, I mean, a thought would be to put that sentiment to test and contact Wackhead, who does his senseless survey, and check with him, with all he's got that's recorded as senseless, what people out there are actually thinking, what is important to them, and finding that EQ-IQ ratio, I'd say. So it is definitely something that can be utilized within any space.
Well, I mean, you think about how many times you phone a call center.
Yes.
And they always tell you, we're recording this for your safety and for whatever quality control.
So what are they doing with it?
Well, that's the point, is like, if they were doing those kind of things, they'd know that you're either incredibly frustrated with this or incredibly frustrated with that. But they would build on that. And I'm pretty sure that, the big organizations are looking at those kind of things, and they should be, because at the end of the day, it's really important. Again, coming back to the city, what we actually realized is that when you go out to get information about transport, you're getting information about everything.
Yes.
So the guy he's not going to stop and say, listen, I'm unhappy about my transport from A to B. You're also going to say, but yes, also my lights and my this and my that.
For sure.
So you're almost and you're not giving him a questionnaire. It's not, okay, fill in that.
You're actually relating a lot closer to your audience in every aspect to understand what they are feeling about the topic, which is something that, we're definitely going to push ahead on.
So that AI technology was interesting. The team worked really well on looking at AI as a real
Yes.
opportunity for improving information, and therefore that
The award
award
is
is to them.
definitely, definitely to Aspire Solutions. So
Yeah.
well done, kudos to all. Hot seat for you a little bit. So I mean, I'm going into year 8 with you. We're on year 18 as Aspire Solutions. What was life without Mushfiqoh?
More calm. No. It is. Look, the first thing is our partnership over 8 years, and I mean we've said this on other podcasts. We've said it, and we'll say it again now. Is very, very complementary. And again, it's the important stuff that's complementary.
Yeah.
It's not it doesn't mean it's the same. It doesn't mean that the skills are the same. It doesn't mean that the energy is the same. It doesn't mean the things that you bring are the same. But the things in the middle that are really important. And that's the way we collectively drive Aspire, the core values that we have, the way that we drive our attitude towards our clients, and then instill that within the context of the staff as well. So I think before that, by the time that you and I started getting together, Aspire was starting to find its feet as to where it wanted to be and what it was. And
That was ultimately how we met. I mean, we met on a joint venture where we were both finding our feet separately and having the needs across each other to discover how we would expand.
Exactly. And before that, for the first 8 years, call it, especially year 1 to 4, you've been through evolutions, you've been through changes. I mean, even from a staff perspective, you start with 2 tiny laptops, 2 tiny desks, and one
whatever
guy.
you can get is
that's
enough
it.
as well.
And you find a little space somewhere, and that's you. And then you try and figure out what it is you're good at. You start with pinning something to the board. And for us in the beginning, it was, you don't think of anything other than at the end of the day, the money must come in so that you can at least keep the doors open. And it is other thing that you do is you chase clients, you try and get traction, you get some traction, you do a lot of things, some things work, some things don't work. You eventually get one nice big client, which happened to be in our case, the airports company in South Africa. And we did quite a lot of work for them, as you know, for a long time before you joined us.
Yes.
You get that one client, it consumes your life. And then you get to the point where, you're worried that if that one client you chase the big client, you get the big client, and then you worry like hell that you're going to lose this.
Oh gosh. And I mean, it's not like our journey was any different within that first 4 years. If I look at mine, I think one of the things that I did, or overly so, and I know I still do it at times, is the fact that, when clients ask you for A to C, you tend to give them A to Z. You want to impress them. You put in all that energy and all that effort. You kind of deliver the project before inception because you're wanting to prove that capability. And I think what you learn over the years is finding that capability within yourself to give them what you understand is of value. And I'm sure we can agree we weren't together in the inception between myself that was still Evolve Management and yours and Aspire, but it is something that you naturally do. I'm sure, anybody who listens to this and in the entrepreneurial space, you put in so much effort within that first 4 years of your business that you don't realize you can be hitting burnout for no reason. So you're putting in this much effort and getting that much value. Well, and I think it's key, and maybe you can give me some more insight into that curve the other way.
Well, I agree with you. I think that also that, when you first start, you are running at 1 million miles an hour, and you're doing whatever it takes to prove that you are the right crowd to do it. But the thing that you learn over time is that it needs to be sustainable. And a sustainable business is a two-way street. You can't have a business where, you are having to work day, night, every day to prove yourself. But at the same time, there's nothing coming back from the other side. But that's also the natural evolution, I think, because you get to the point where you go, okay, we know what we do. We know we do it well. We're certainly happy with somebody new to, kind of give you insight on how we do that. And,
for sure.
Show you that we can do it. But we're certainly not going to work for you for 6 months to try and prove to you that we can do it. Our track record speaks for itself. And then you start trading on your track record, which is good. And your previous client becomes testimony to the new client.
That, and also the philosophy of, building that trust is allowing a company like Aspire and all of the smaller SMEs, because they're always needing to fight within the with the big fish, it's give them that opportunity and nurture the relationship of trust instead of the comparison that you see and find within industry. I think that becomes an important message. I mean, one of the reasons that I can also add that Aspire does these podcasts is we're looking forward, and we'll give you some insight into that, but we also want your insight. What is it that you'd like to hear with regards to our 18-year journey? What is it within technology that you feel we need to expand on more? There might be areas where we have absolutely no insight, and we'll actually call on you to come and give us that information, because it is ever growing and we're always forging ahead. So, Mike, maybe you can give them some insight as to what's happening next with Aspire.
Yeah, so I think that the key thing is for us is that, we have a business that knows what it's good at, knows what it's capable of. We're growing staff members to take that forward, to continue the journey with Aspire Solutions. And I think at the end of the day, it will go from strength to strength. You're on my journey. What we are looking at is in terms of some of the things that have happened to Aspire Solutions, that maybe have a place outside of Aspire Solutions, in particularly thinking of the current thinking around Aspire Technologies. In other words, taking technologies and IP that's been developed within our client relationships as almost once-offs, and then saying, but that has value beyond that one client, and can we package it? Can it be a slightly more productized piece of software or a piece of technology? And then see if there's an avenue for that as through Aspire Technologies. So the way
I'd say one of the key things, and you were going to say it now, and this happens all the time. I take the words out of his mouth, but we mean the same thing, is the fact that Aspire Technologies is meant to be an incubator.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So that was Mike packaging it for the word coming out of my mouth being an incubator. So we're hoping to, within not just what the specialization and the successes of what we've learned to productize via the incubator of Aspire Technologies, we're hoping to try it with ourselves and then eventually extend that. So if there is somebody who has a bright tech idea where they feel it's a product that can be put together, we'd like to be that the incubator of that product and actually test it in markets.
And the nice thing about that is it means you're not starting again, but you feel young again in terms of your journey, because it's something, you don't know exactly how it's going to work out.
Sure.
We've tried it with a few things. You get a few
fail
lessons.
Fast.
Fail fast. You get a bloody nose here and there. And that's how it was when we started Aspire Solutions, and that's how it was when you started your
100%.
business. So you feel almost excited again about the fact that, and it's not to say that you're bored of what's happening at Aspire Solutions, but it means that you've got something else that's now sparking up the taking it forward and leveraging value that's already been created.
And I think the other part for me that gets me excited is that change of industry. So a lot of the time, technology, I always say, is we're able to cross-pollinate. But when people come up with ideas, it's based on a specific need in an industry where you're not always certain whether it can go somewhere else. So exploring those avenues is what makes it fun.
And I think the other thing is in that space, as you said, if you do use it as beyond just your company, and maybe it has an element that says, okay, if there are startups, if there are young guys that have got good ideas and they want a place to and there are other incubators. I mean, we're not obviously not the only place that you can do it, but there's always a place to have that discussion and to build South African tech.
For sure.
And
I think that's important.
It's not getting something off the shelf from there or there or there. But to build South African tech, and
there's definitely a market. There's so many young minds.
Yeah.
I think the reality, Mike, is that we always get completely inundated. We get lost in time, and it is September, the month of we're leading towards the last quarter of the year. Aspire actually turned 18 in April, but we absolutely forgot about it, as we do every year. So we will be celebrating this month, and we are hoping to just share with our staff and feel as if it's one of those situations that whatever the circumstance around you at this time, you need to celebrate yourself. And that's important. So I can only say thank you for being my right hand through it all, and as far as we've gotten with all our goals ahead. But yes, well done again on Africa Tech Week, and look forward to celebrating with you this month.
And in Echo, a right hand can't be without a left hand, and another hand, and another hand. So really, this has been a collective effort between you and I, the staff, Aspire Solutions. Yeah?
Yep. So we're looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah.